Hey, it's Video Game Podtimism, the Optimist video game variety show where two best friends talk about the wonderful world of gaming. My name is Chase.
My name is David.
Hi.
Hello, everyone.
Hey.
Welcome back.
Yeah, we recorded the last episode, notably pre-election day, and it came out after. And now we're recording this one also after. I wish I was recording this pre. If I just
Take
sort
me
of
back.
turn back time a little bit. Yeah, it would feel, I feel like a little weird to just be like, yeah, we're just going to keep on doing it without saying anything about how kind of brutal the moment is.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, obviously we are not a show that covers politics by any measure, but I don't think you need to squint very hard to see our politics, you know? And so I suspect that for probably not an insignificant amount of listeners, it's also not a phenomenal moment right now.
Mm-hmm.
And for better or worse, like games are kind of involved in politics now, you know, like a lot of chuds that you see showing up on the sort of gaming sphere are somehow now like quasi political activists. Regardless, I think both wanted to acknowledge the challenge, I guess, of this moment and how painful I know it can be for a lot of people, you know, especially the folks who are already in our audience. I know that. And I mean, you and I started this largely as a way to serve as like a counterbalance against the chuddery of a lot of online discourses, just as far as games. But I know that expands outward. And so, you know, I think that the show will still serve as that. And potentially now more than ever, if there is more of the chuddery described before that shows up online.
Here to combat the manosphere.
Yeah, hopefully. Like, look, man, you ain't got to be that shitty. It's so easy not to be that shitty.
Truly.
But I don't know that we've ever like talked about the show in any larger capacity. But like the way that I conceptualize a lot of this stuff is that like, not like we are being optimistic for optimism's sake. Like that isn't the point of it. It is warts and all optimism, right? Like a healthy dose of reality and also trying to find the hope in a situation. And I know that finding hope in these kind of situations can be really challenging, but I think that that's something that is worthwhile and worth striving for, because I think that there is still beauty in this place and in this medium specifically for us. Something you texted me was, they can take your president, but they can't take your joy, which I agree with, David.
I did say that. Yeah.
You did say that.
Can't let them take that from you.
No, they're trying. And I will say some days they'll win.
Reddit's trying too.
Yes, Reddit tries really regularly to do that for me. But yeah, I just hope that everybody can take care of themselves. I personally feel very motivated to, you know, volunteer some amount of time for shit that I wasn't before. I think that, like I was telling you before this, the climate stuff kind of worries me the most. Yeah. And so like, how do I give time to that effort in a way that feels productive rather than just doom scrolling or, you know, worrying about what could be. Yeah. And so I hope that if you've got the strength to do it, that you can too. And also that if we can provide a sort of reprieve for that, even just for an hour, that I hope you'll find some value in that.
Yeah, absolutely. We're here as an outlet, an escape, a resource, whatever we can be, really.
Yeah. Yeah. So would you like to talk about video games?
I would actually.
I would like more than ever. I would love to hear about a video game, David.
Yeah, actually, the first one that I'm going to talk about, I think actually does tie into what we were just talking about, strangely enough. But I've been playing a lot of Metaphor Refantazio.
I was going to call that shot. I was like, I bet this is a Metaphor segment, isn't it?
It is. First of all, let me just say this game is great. I'm finally kind of vibing with the whole entire game loop of these types of games, like the Persona games. I didn't really vibe with it when it was for a school setting for some reason. It just reminded me of being in high school and like having deadlines and shit. But when it's like a big popularity contest and I'm trying to become the king, time frames make a little bit more sense to me, and the side quests seem a little bit more reasonable, like, okay, yeah, I need to just manage my time because there's only so much time I have to do this, right? So I think that just made a little bit more sense to me in my head why I'm doing these things. And now I'm curious to see if I can go back to a Persona and play that and have fun with it. But the game's great. And I've been playing it, and the game really talks a lot about this concept that is a fantasy to them in this game, which is essentially democracy, right? Because they live in an autocracy for a long time, and it just does not make sense to them. And it's honestly kind of helping with my election anxiety.
Sure.
Because it is just shown as being such a beautiful idea that is something that is worth fighting for, and that is something that seems impossible to achieve. And I think that at least in the US right now, hey, we've already got it. We just need to maintain it at this point. And that is something that is worthy of your time and your effort. Because it could be very different and not as good, to put it very lightly.
I've seen a lot of interpretations online that their interpretation of the sort of like idealized society is kind of that exactly, like it's kind of idealistic in a way. And my read on it when I was playing it was that like, yes, that is true.
Yeah.
Like in the way that we fantasize about fantasy, right? About like, oh, wouldn't it be cool to live in Freerin world or whatever, where like you can just be nice to your friends and like that's good enough or whatever. Obviously, like Freerin's maybe a bad example because like shit does regularly pop off in a pretty bad way. But my point being that like we also have this kind of like artificial view of what fantasy looks like. And I think in the same way, they have this view of what like a perfect society would look like and everything. And that like both are sort of out of touch with the reality of what that would actually be like, but that the fantasy in either direction is like something that you're kind of aiming at, right? Like I would, as a person living in like, you know, a normal quote unquote society, like the thing that I like about fantasy is the kind of like slowness of the location and the beauty of kind of the natural world and shit like that. And obviously that's not the whole world that it would be, right? There's also like, hey, the king decided we're going to war today or something, you know?
Exactly.
But in the same way, the reverse is also true of like, this is an idealized version, but it's like a goal point rather than like, rather than the game saying this is what real life is like right now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And I think it is important to note that in this idealized version of this fantasy world of democracy in this game, they don't talk about like race relations. They don't talk about gender equality. They don't mention that those are still ills in society. Really, they're just focusing on the structure of power in the world, right? And that's what's so mind-blowing to them. Whereas, you know, when we're watching fantasy, it's like you said, the beauty of the world, the magic, the creatures, those things that seem cool and different and interesting. But in reality, if you lived there, it would be terrifying, right?
Yeah, it'd be quite bad.
Be quite bad.
Or there's more nuance to it at the very least.
Exactly. And I also love how in this game, they're pretty much saying like, you have to take your anxieties and your fears and channel them and control them to create this power, the power of kings, right? And it's just, there was this one line that Hulkenberg said, I love Hulkenberg, by the way, power lies in the place beyond fear and anxiety. And I just thought that was beautiful. That's just great. Good, That's just a great sentiment, I think. And I think it's completely and totally true and is something to hold on to right now. I think that's important.
Talk about Freerin. They fucking hammer on that thing too.
Exactly. Because it is easy to mire yourself in fear and anxiety. But once you are able to, you know, work through it, work past it, work with it, really, there's strength there, right? So that really helped me, at least with this game, and felt it's kind of a special experience, you know. It's a game, it's fun, but also it's helping me with real world shit, which is cool, and I think is something unique to games.
Like I was saying, it's the same thing that like Stark goes through in Freerin, where like whenever he's like about to fight something, he's very regularly like shaking.
Yep.
And I think Freerin and Fern both like call it out like, hey, are you okay? Like, are you good? And he's like, yes. Like, this is a natural thing that happens to me. And it means that I'm like ready. Like I am scared. And it's also the same thing that happened to Eisen, his like master, the dwarf.
Yeah.
Like he was also somebody who was like prone to shaking before he had to do something important. And like, I don't know, I find that like a really empowering depiction of having fears and anxiety be something that is very loud in my brain of like, when I'm doing something scary and I'm still moving forward, like that is what like courage feels like, you know?
It's courage, it's bravery. Eddard Stark tells Bran the only time you can be brave is when you're afraid, when you're scared, right? Yeah. So yeah, it's empowering, I think, especially now. But yeah, the game, besides that, the game is great. It's fun to play.
I love to press
X. But I do love all the archetypes. And these JRPGs, I almost always fall off of a JRPG at some point, but I think it's discovering the different archetypes, leveling them up, getting better versions of the same archetypes, being able to inherit skills, being able to do different synthesis attacks if I'd have a different archetype on my team with another one, right? It's just, there's so many different combinations of ways that you can keep it fresh and interesting that it still keeps me coming back. It reminds me a lot of Octopath in that way. It just really tries to keep, it's taking that basic formula of the JRPG turn-based combat and really making it a lot more engaging, which really impresses me because I just could never do that or hang with that back in the day. Now that's very much different. So yeah, great game. Loving it. Yeah. Really loving it so far. I also attempted to play Black Ops 6 and I absolutely could not. I absolutely just could not.
My back just cracked from the whiplash you just gave me, David. Holy shit.
I know, right? I mean, I just have a lot of fond memories playing Modern Warfare 1 and 2 as a kid growing up. These are fun games. They're well made. And I just heard a lot of chatter about this being kind of a return to form for the Call of Duty franchise as far as the campaign goes. So I was like, I have Game Pass. Might as well download it and just take a crack at it. And it took me all of about like 5 minutes to realize that it's just the same Call of Duty. I just didn't see what people were talking about. I haven't played a Call of Duty campaign in a while, so maybe I just didn't appreciate how much better it was than the other ones. But man, do I just not care about hyper realistically fighting through a real war that happened in the Middle East, while a very over dramatized story of these kind of rogue hoorah soldiers doing just what needs to be done while being interrogated by some government man about why did you do all these crazy things that people are going to think are really cool, but we don't like it because we told you not to. I just don't care about that story at all. All. So, yeah, I mean, it felt good to move around and shoot a gun a little bit, but it did nothing else about the game really vibe with me at all. And then I figured, hey, let's try a different first-person shooter. Maybe I just don't like Call of Duty. Then I downloaded Wolfenstein The Old Blood because I had a lot of fun with the first two Wolfenstein games. And once again, I was just like, no, this just is not it right now. The gunplay was much better than Call of Duty. I'll give it that. And I think it is still a more fun game. But after a while, just the level design just was starting to just, I don't know, kind of bore me. It's a very difficult first-person shooter too. So if you're not like ready to be on the edge of your seat, like not blinking, you're not in for a good time. So yeah, I attempted to be a cool kid with my first-person shooters, but I failed dramatically. Yeah.
It's very bizarre to see that like regularly these games are still like the game,
Yeah. Like how many Call of Duties are there now? It's like 70?
There's a lot. I have no idea how many there actually are. Apparently the internet says there are 23 Call of Duty video games.
That's a lot less than I thought, but
still a lot of video games.
A lot of video games. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it's still fun to fight people online. That's cool, but I just don't need hyper realistic war right now in my living room, especially when there's real war going on roughly the same area in the world right now.
Yeah. I have to imagine that the draw of these games kind of by a lot is the multiplayer,
Yeah.
And even, the people who are checking out the campaign, I also have to imagine that the violence goes pretty unexamined.
Yeah.
In that, because like the people who do examine it are like, maybe not actually.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, war games, not on the docket right now.
Sure, yeah.
And the other thing I've been all over the fucking place, dude. Mario Wonder.
Okay, yeah.
I've been playing this game off and on. I haven't talked about it too much, but I beat it, so I figured I would just talk about it a little bit. A lot of fun. It's the first side-scrolling Mario that I think I've beaten to completion.
Whoa, really?
I don't think I've beaten any of the classic Marios on my own.
Yeah.
I think I've played with them. I played through them with other people, but never just me. So I really like the fun and imaginative levels. They're great. I like the Wonder Seeds. They're fun. But it does seem like if you miss out on the Wonder Seed, then you kind of miss out on the best parts of the game.
Yeah.
Which It is a design choice. I get, like, they want you to go back through the level multiple times to try and find these seeds, but I found it more just kind of onerous if I didn't find it on the level to go back and seek it. I do try to make it easy by giving you like a little radar essentially to find it, but not my favorite design choice. And I did enjoy the little hat power-ups you could get in the game.
Right.
I felt like they were superfluous outside of the levels that were specifically designed to showcase them. But still a fun thing to just throw in there, so why not? And then I loved the fact that Bowser in this game just wanted to throw a sick concert. That was great. He just wanted to jam. He just wanted to melt people's faces and felt, I think, very strangely canonical with like Jack Black being Bowser in in the Mario cinematic universe nowadays. So I enjoyed it. Some of it felt a little uneven to me, but it was overall a good experience and a fun game. And it was a great palate cleanser from the world as well, which is nice. Yeah.
It's certainly, I would agree with you that like there are more parts of it that are uneven. I ended up liking it quite a bit, but at the very least, I appreciated that there was a lot in there that I was like, I haven't seen this in a side-scrolling Mario before, and I like that. I like that they're kind of like trying new shit, because I don't know, it like side-scrolling Marios have been very the same for a long time.
Yeah,
and I love it whenever Nintendo's like, can we not do that? Like, is there a way to break out of that box? Which is what I kind of see with the Echoes of Wisdom stuff with Zelda, and to a certain extent, like Breath of the Wild in the first place was also them being like, Zelda has been the same thing for a long time. What else can we do?
Yeah. I'm very curious to see if this game is going to kind of be the bridge between traditional side-scrolling Marios and then something just wildly different and maybe a little bit more interesting. Kind of like how I view Bowser's Fury in the Mario 3D World for the Switch. Because it feels like they're cooking something. It feels like this was a very, like they're experimenting, they're riffing here, and they're seeing what works and what didn't. And I'm kind of excited to see what they do next with the side-scrolling Mario, because I think there's some really cool ideas here that I just want to see expounded upon further. I kind of want just a crazy imaginative level from the beginning, or you know, for this world, you have to use this power-up hat to get through all the special areas and just really tailor things more specifically to specific different things you can do that they've thought up for you to do in the game. So yeah, I'm curious to see where they go with it, because it was a fun game. Don't get me wrong. I had a couple small gripes, but overall it was tight controls and very imaginative and fun. So yeah, I'm curious to see where it goes.
I'm like fascinated by whatever the next Switch has on it as far as Mario goes.
Yeah.
Because I agree with you. Like, I feel like they've been doing nothing but leading up to like kind of a different approach to Mario for a long time. Like they could easily just put out Odyssey 2 and have that game be really good. Cause like, I loved Odyssey 1 and I would absolutely just take more of that. But you're right that like Bowser's Fury was a little bit of like, what are you cooking in there? What do you got going on? Like,
there's some internally going on. You're like, what is happening?
Yeah. You can see the machinations of Miyamoto being like, what if we were open world or not, you know? And I'm just really interested in like, what do they do with that? Because they could really swing for the fence. You know, I think the presence of Breath of the Wild was such a swing. And I think when Nintendo really swings for something that hard, I wouldn't say it's always a hit, but I'm always really like in awe of that. And I just feel like they could do something so cool. I think this Switch will be defined by the swing that is Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. And I'm really interested to see like, what if the next one is Mario? What if the next one's Metroid or something like that?
Well, what if they do, for side-scrolling Mario, what if they do a Mario-vania?
I'm ready for Gate Punk Mario, man.
That'd be cool.
That'd be cool. What if it's Metroid Brainia, but Mario? You have to solve a murder, but it's Mario.
Oh, man. I mean, I'd be there. I'd play it.
Yeah, I would also be there.
I would play it. That'd be fun.
I mean, that's essentially what, like, was that Murder Mystery Sonic game that came out a while ago?
Yeah, someone killed Sonic, or who killed Sonic?
Somebody killed Sonic. It's the murder of Sonic the Hedgehog.
The murder of Sonic the Hedgehog. And then they just released the Smiling Man remake or whatever it is. And that's like a murder mystery, isn't it? Or a mystery, I should say.
Yeah. It would be such a weird Nintendo thing to do, to just put out the murder of Mario and be like, we're going to eat your fucking lunch on this one.
Mario and Luigi and the murder of Mario and Luigi.
Mario.
Do they only say Mario and Luigi in Mario and Luigi Brothership? Is that their dialogue?
No, they do the thing that's like present in the other Mario and Luigi's where they go like, where it's like
they're scatting.
They're scatting. Yeah, they're the scat.
Nice.
Speaking of which, pass me the ball. Are you done?
Oh yeah, I'm done. Chase, what have you been playing this week?
I've been playing Mario and Luigi Brothership, David.
Oh, nice. I was wondering if that was a segue.
Phenomenal segue. Thank you. Mario and Luigi Brothership. This is a Mario and Luigi game in the lineage of other Mario and Luigi games.
Superstar Saga.
Yes.
Superstar. Wasn't that the one?
Yeah, Superstar Saga was the one for Game Boy Advance. Then Partners in Time, Bowser's Inside Story, Dream Team, Paper Jam, and now Brothership.
Man, there's been a bunch.
There have been a lot. I loved Superstar Saga, which was the one for Game Boy Advance, and I loved Bowser's Inside Story. Both of those were really, really good. And for anybody who like doesn't know what these are, they're like another kind of brand of Mario RPGs. I think Super Mario RPG is much more in the kind of like Final Fantasy lineage, given that that was made by Square at the time. And Mario and Luigi feels like kind of this halfway point between those games and also Paper Mario. There are kind of a lot of Mario RPGs, and I'm saying all this out loud, where you're like kind of wandering around like this 2D world and you're in control of both Mario and Luigi. Like Mario's mapped to A and Luigi's mapped to B on the controller. And I think that the thing that I went to for Superstar Saga was it's a very funny game. Even now, like it's genuinely very funny and was in 2003 as well. The combat is always pretty fun. Like it's the kind of like sort of Paper Mario thing where like if you jump and attack at the right time, you do a little bit more damage. And the way to like defend yourself from people attacking you is you kind of got to watch them when they're kind of lining you up, because they'll oftentimes have some kind of tell for like, are they about to go after Mario or Luigi? And if you can tell, then you can time it correctly to like jump and dodge their attack. It's just overall like a system that I found very gratifying to play through. And yeah, I loved those games. So I was pretty interested in Brothership after, I don't think I played Paper Jam, but Inside Story was 2009. So it's been like kind of a long time since I got one of these games. And the reviews for this game have been all over the place.
It sure has been. I haven't seen a spread like this in quite some time, honestly.
No. And like, part of me always is like yearns for the days when there are just like wildly, vastly different opinions on games as far as reviews go, because it means that like everybody has such dramatically different taste. But, you know, a lot of times there's at least a little bit of consensus for like, this is fun, or like this feels good to play. And like, that's fine. But I was immediately like, well, I have to play this now.
Yeah.
Like,
gotta see what's going on in here.
I gotta see what's going on. And let's see where to start with this. The first thing, people often, like a lot of the other reviews sort of complain about like the framiness, the sort of like frame rate dropping a lot. And they compared it to, I think it's the IGN review that like gave it the kind of harshest critique. And they compared it to Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Yeah. And I've been playing it for a little while, and I really am waiting for that to happen. Like, sure. I'm like, where is it going to hit, and is it going to hit? Because like Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, like I found a lot to love about that game, but like, damn, was the graphical stuff really bad in that one. Like to the point where it's just like the frame rate's all over the place. Like it simply doesn't look, not only does it not look great, but it takes me out of the experience with how it looks. You know, like there's plenty of, like I play Mega Man Legends with some regularity, you know, that game is polygonal as hell. And like, that doesn't bother me at all, because like it's consistent at the very least, and it's part of the artistic style, right? There's plenty of games that I return to from the PlayStation 1, the PS2, the PS3, like all of that shit. And it really doesn't bother me at all in the way that something looks, quote unquote. I think just like for so long we were so attached to the idea of like things have to look better for them to be a good video game. And it's simply not true. It's not the way it is. But like Scarlet and Violet was distractingly bad in some of the framier parts. Like, like I said, there's that one town where there's like a windmill at the center of it, and like the whole town revolves around the windmill. And it's like, wow, isn't our town cool? Isn't this windmill cool? And you look at it in the distance, and it's got maybe 1 to 2 frames a second. It's just like, it looks like a clock hand. Yeah. Like going around in a circle, because it's too far for you to see.
So bad.
It's really tough.
Oh man.
And like, I there have been some like slowdowns a little bit here and there, but like I still am like, okay, well, where is it going to hit that it's that bad? And so far it hasn't been for me. And so I'm not really experiencing that. Some people are talking about like the fetch quest stuff being a little bit repetitive. I get that, but I like, again, for me, I'm kind of just there to hang out and like wander around this world, you know, like I don't need it to be Baldur's Gate level of depth as far as the quest goes. I'm there for the vibe of Mario and Luigi. And again, maybe that will change as the game goes on. Like I'm only a handful of hours into it, so it's totally possible. Like I'm just on the good shit right now, but still, I'm on the shit ship. Speaking of which, I haven't even explained that. Yeah, you get like a boat in this one, and you're traveling between like different islands and shit, and that's just like that's an automatic plus for me. I love a home base that's on a boat.
Love a boat.
Love a boat.
Who doesn't love a boat?
Steam World Quest 2 early in the year. Love a boat. Great boat home base. Even just the humble Wind Waker boat. You know?
Oh yeah,
little boat, but like mighty.
I mean, the King of Red Lions. Put some respect on that boat's name.
Put some respect on that guy's voice. Great boat. So like that's immediately just a plus in my book. And so like I think all that combined, like I see that this is an imperfect game. I will cede that point, right?
Yeah.
I think the momentum of it is kind of strange. Like I find myself just like going along and not exactly knowing like what am I doing here? Like I'll find myself in a moment of like how have I arrived at this moment? Like from the very beginning of it, right? Like you find like Luigi gets blown off course, you find him, it's like, all right, great, yay. And then you like run into some other people and they're like, hello, we have a problem you need to solve. And maybe that's kind of what people are talking about with the fetch quest stuff, but still like there are games that have fetch quests where I know what I'm doing, you know? And so there's a little bit of meanderingness to sort of the main quest, but I don't know, it just doesn't really grind my gears all that much.
Sure.
And yeah, like I think Nintendo succeeds so well at ironing out the details of a game, like the very fine specific edges of a video game. You will find that Nintendo has paid attention to those, you know, like there's just not a lot of cruft in those games.
Yeah.
It's rarely are they like glitchy at all, or like the UI looks imperfect in any places. Like it's always like, wow, that's it, you know, like this is fully formed and good to go. But like there is some of that in here, right? Like you see it every now and then. The edges aren't fully sanded off, or like maybe a moment hangs just a little bit too long. You're like, that was a little weird. I don't know what that was.
As far as like a joke or just like a story beat?
All of the above. Yeah. Just like all of it is just like a point away from being like needing one more look for somebody to be like, maybe we pull out of that like camera angle just a little bit sooner than that. Or like, does the victory dance need to go on for that long, or anything like that, right? Or like the UI is just a little odd in this place. None of that is game breaking. It's just like I experience it and I'm like, I see the difference between a 9 out of 10 and a 10 out of 10 Nintendo game. Like you see it, right?
Yeah.
Because in every other game that they have, kind of barring Pokemon, like the ones that are hits, you feel it. You feel the attention to detail that they have in like every corner of those games. And so like I get it. I understand the critique, but like I'm still very much enjoying this game. I think it's really, really fun.
Is the combat good?
I was just about to say the combat fucking rocks. It's still really, really good.
Yeah.
They have made the animation of Mario and Luigi in the combat so good. Like just the basic attack of like Mario jumping on someone, Luigi like doing a roll and kicking him up with his feet, and then Mario hitting the guy again. Like it looks so good. It's just so satisfying to play. Whenever you level up, it's incredible. There's like a little animation that looks like you won like a Smash Brothers fight or something like that. Like there's somebody in, you know, standing, arms crossed, and
looking tough.
They're on like a pedestal. Yeah. And so I think that if combat is the thing that you're coming to this game for, you will get it. I think that's like probably one of the stronger parts of this game.
Gotcha. Maybe not the writing or the pacing, but the combat's still good.
Yeah, the combat still rocks. And so like I have no hesitation with endorsing that part of it. So yeah, I see the unevenness of the game for sure. Like I played, I think Superstar Saga pretty recently. I think it's on like the Nintendo pack or whatever.
Yeah, the expansion pack.
Yeah. And like I get it, right? Like I see why that game is revered still, because none of those problems are here, right? Like the pacing is perfect. It's so much fun. There's no kind of lollygagging as far as like the game itself. It's all good. You're fighting bosses before you know it. And like, it's all just very good. And this game isn't that, but I think it's still pretty good. Mm-hmm. And I'm just sort of happy that like there are more games like this coming out now. I hope that this one sells well enough that they're like, let's keep making it. It definitely seems like they're renewed and Nintendo is renewed in their interest in the RPG series that they have.
RPGs are having a moment right now.
Yeah, I think so. And I hope that they continue to kind of, do more with this because I liked the Origami King, the Paper Mario game, and M loved it, oddly enough. But those complaints about that game, I understand a little bit more of like, this truly does not feel that much like a Paper Mario game. And so that was a bit of a disappointment from that end. But like kind of since then, they've been putting out like, hey, we're going to put out remakes of Super Mario RPG and Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door. And they're going to like slap, just absolutely be so good. And then this one, I think is probably, on the size of, or on the scale of quality, maybe a little bit less so than those. But my hope is that Nintendo sees this and is like, okay, let's keep trying new stuff with either Super Mario RPG or Paper Mario or another Mario and Luigi game and really do some interesting shit, Cool. Why not have a life sim in Mario?
Why not have a dating sim in Mario?
Hey now, can I kiss Boo?
I mean, whenever you look at Boo, they stop moving, so it's going to be hard.
It's going to be tough. But it feels so good once it finally works. A nice smooch.
I don't know if I can kiss a ghost. Is that possible?
Yeah, we're gonna find out, David.
We're gonna
Coming
find
soon
out together.
in Super Mario RPG 2. You kiss a Boo in this one.
You kiss a Boo. Boo's your boo.
Boo is your boo.
Boo boo.
The forlorn boo boo.
Boo boo.
Came out of your mouth. You were almost bummed out to be making the joke.
I was. Lou Boo versus Boo Boo. The fight of the century. It's gonna be. It's coming up after Tyson versus Jake Paul or Logan Paul or whatever Paul it is.
It's actually both of them. They're playing chicken and fighting.
I would be okay with it being like a tag team match with them against Tyson because I feel like them boys are going to get knocked cold.
Yeah. I mean, depending on how much they've paid Mr. Tyson himself.
Take a fall, Big T.
Speaking of Lou Boo, did you see that new Dynasty Warriors game that's coming out?
No.
I think it's like kind of an RPG. Dynasty Warriors Origins.
Origins. Well, they're switching it up.
They're switching it up a little bit. Listen, for my personal brand of brain worms, it looks very good to me.
Oh, yeah. This is a new way to play the same story for a 10th time.
Yeah, like it's the same problem I have with any Dragon Ball Z game where I'm like, I'll fight Raditz again. Like, yes, I will go and fight the Yellow Turban Rebellion one more time.
Got to do it.
I mean, what else am I going to do? Not fight Lu Bu in front of Hulao Gate, David?
Are those always big events in those games?
Absolutely, yeah. Right. Although you typically cannot beat Lu Bu in that fight unless you're so brave and so strong.
Have you done it?
I think I did it once. It's just like, it's such a grinding, horrible experience where you have to like just cheese him in a corner somewhere to get it to work. Mm-hmm. But it's so not worth the payoff usually.
What is it? Does it just say time paradox and start you over again?
Yeah. They say, no, you must be beaten by Lu Bu. No, I think it's actually that like he just like retreats or something like that once you beat him, which like, come on,
not satisfying.
Let me beat him. Yeah. Origins, I think it's like you make a character and then like fight in a bunch of these battles. It just looks like they have reconsidered a little bit of how the game works, and I'm like very thrilled about that.
Okay.
They tried it with the last one. They tried to do kind of an open world Dynasty Warriors game, and it was like, listen, this is a game about being optimistic. It was so bad, David. It is a very tough video game to play.
You were riding on the horse a lot, I remember you saying, right?
A lot of horsing. The UI is inscrutable. I opened up like the pause menu, and there are just like layers and layers and layers of user interface that are so hard to distinguish. It's so terrifying. Oh my God. But I remain hopeful. I hope that Origins is good. I didn't mean to turn this into a Dynasty Warriors bit, but here we are.
We did it.
I've also been playing one other game, David.
Let's hear it.
That's Pokemon TCG Pocket, David.
Whoa, what is this?
It's Pokemon, the trading card game.
Yeah,
Pocket.
Yeah. Is it on your phone?
This is on your phone. They got games on your phones.
They have games on your phone? Really?
They got games on your phone. You can swipe at fruit. You can pretend to drink beer. You can clash clans.
What game pretends to drink beer?
It's not a game. It's just the iBeer, that app where you do it and it looks like you're drinking beer.
Got it.
It's a little 2006 throwback.
Nice.
So This was another game that I was kind of highly anticipating. Because I loved returning to that game that we played, Pokemon TCG, like trading card game for Game Boy.
It was fun.
I thought the game, it was so good. It was so much better than I was expecting it to be. And it also, oddly enough, I think taught me how to play Pokemon TCG. And I was like, this is a good game. Why was I not playing the trading card game up until now?
Just had to collect the cards. That's it.
Yeah, I just wanted to collect them all. And so I was like, hey, they're putting out a new version of that. There had existed a version of like Pokemon trading card game online that has existed for a little while now, but that also I was like, I think I am so like too far gone at this point to even get into it, you know, like
what does that mean? I'm too far gone.
Like how does somebody get into Magic for the first time now? You know, like that seems like a pretty tough endeavor.
You need to like take a class on it.
Yeah, like I need Magic 101 to really understand like what's going on.
Yeah.
Unless you have the miracle situation where you have a bunch of friends who are also into that thing and are willing to like not just absolutely destroy you for a little while, you know, like, oh, we'll all play with starter decks and we can play together or something. Whereas like just jumping in the deep end with the fucking sharks online and being like, hi, here's my Pikachu deck. Can I play? And then just getting shattered, you know?
Why?
That's not.
Why are you Kermit the Frog playing a Pikachu deck online?
I have brought my Pikachu deck today with me.
What is this character?
I've just recently gotten into the hit card game Pokemon.
Ash Ketchum?
No, you got it right the first time. Ass Ketchum.
Ass Ketchum.
Ketchum the ass. Here to destroy you with my Pikachu deck.
How do you have a Kermit the Frog impersonation ready to go?
The reason I'm doing it so much is because this is a surprise to me too. I didn't know this was in me.
Were you a big Muppets kid?
No. In fact, kind of the opposite. I like wasn't a Muppets guy.
The Muppets are kind of scary to me.
They're a little frightening. I get it.
A little frightening.
I understand.
Well,
not as scary as my all blasto.
Oh, you know what it is? I've heard enough Jordan Peterson impersonations to know what Kermit the Frog impersonations sound like.
Does he sound like Kermit?
He sounds so much like Kermit.
What?
The total dipshit.
Well, at least Kermit has a heart, though.
I know. Yeah, that really helps.
Yeah, really helps. A warmer heart than Jordan Peterson, and he's cold-blooded.
It's true.
Do I have a Kermit the Frog in there? You first gotta start off. No, that's weird. I don't know what that was. I was gonna say you have to start off by cleaning your room, but I got nothing.
You had to take a run at it to know if it was in there.
It wasn't there. It wasn't there. I can't pull out the nasal.
Yeah, it's like in the top of your throat. It's really weird.
I want to be the very best.
It's just going to come out of Stitch from Lilo and Stitch.
Yes. Yeah.
I got a Stitch in there.
Pokemon card game. I was interested in this because we played it and it was good. And I didn't want to get into the actual Pokemon trading card game. But notably, something that was in the marketing of this game that like I think hit either last year or like middle of this year was that they were like, all right, we have simplified a lot of how to play the Pokemon TCG, which was something that even in the Game Boy game, I was like, it is a little complicated. Like you could have like 60 cards to a deck, which was kind of a lot. Like if you ran out of cards, that was it. Like you just died. And a lot of it felt like this is a little bit up to luck. It feels a little bit like I'm kind of just drawing the right cards.
Yeah.
You know? And like, what is a card game except drawing the right cards?
That's all card games. Yeah.
Even still, I was interested in the idea of just simplifying a little bit, mostly because of Marvel Snap and how that game largely reduced complexity in deck building games, right? Like if you compare the complexity of something like Hearthstone, comparing it to Marvel Snap, like Snap is simpler than Hearthstone. Fewer cards, shorter games, just something. It is a game that does not rely on its complexity to make it fun. And I thought that was interesting at the very least because I like Marvel Snap and I still play it from time to time. Also, I like Pokemon. So like no surprise there. I like that. But it came out and I downloaded it almost immediately. And it is a very interesting game, David.
Yeah.
First off, they don't let you fight for a while. You're not really getting in the ring for a little bit. A big part of the game is opening packs. That is one of the main mechanics of this game.
Makes sense.
Which I think makes sense given that like I'd suspect that this is appealing to a huge base of people, that they are not just appealing to people who like Pokemon TCG. they're appealing to people who have ever owned a Pokemon card.
I was about to say, did you get like goosebumps on your neck when you opened your first pack?
Unfortunately, whenever I get a sick card, my brain is like, yeah, dude.
It feeds the worms.
It feeds the worms. The worms feel really good about that.
The worms go, yes, more.
Yeah. In a way that, like, again, it's just weaponized nostalgia, right? It is the feeling that I get when I was 10 of opening a card pack.
I get it.
And so I'm not surprised that they lead with that, because I think a lot of people will show up and they just want to open packs. And I don't know, like, that's not that bad of a thing. I think, of course, it immediately gets complicated by, like, you can spend real money if you want to.
Of course.
With any microtransaction or free-to-play game, that is always the problem.
Monetize it, baby.
You gotta monetize it, baby. And like this game of all of them is certainly one that I know people will spend too much money on. You know, like
everybody in the 90s.
Like everybody in the 90s, for sure. Hearthstone is a game that people can spend too much money on, but like largely, other than the fact that like there are characters that you might recognize, it's not relying on the fact that like, oh, I had an Articuno when I was younger and I want to get another one in this game. Like that isn't there. And so like, you know, any endorsement of this game that I'm probably about to give comes with the caveat of like, you got to play responsibly. You got to know your limits here. And like, if you are somebody who is an absolute fiend for Pokemon cards and you know you will be again to the point where you might spend a shitload of money on it, maybe skip it. You know, like this is some potent weaponized nostalgia.
How much money have you spent so far, Chase?
So far, I've spent no money. And I have felt largely chill about that.
Good.
Usually with any of these games, I will be like, all right, if it feels like they are earning money enough, maybe I'll sink like $5 into like one of their like passes or something like that, where it's like, if you know you're going to be playing every day and you're interested in the game and you kind of just want to like play a little bit more, then, you know, pitch us $5 and like you can do that. I'm usually comfortable with that. Like, you know, depending on a quote unquote battle pass or something like that, I don't always feel terrible about that. Some of them are just simply not worth your money. You know, like any of the games that are giving you like nothing for doing that is, you know, you know which ones are worth it and which ones are not. But like Marvel Snap is a great example. Like if I see a card that is their kind of monthly big card that usually I think it's like $10 for the pass, you know, I'll pick it up and I'll check it out and make decks with that. And I usually feel fine about that because for a while there I was playing a lot of Marvel Snap and didn't feel terrible about it.
Yeah.
But that said, I think that the clip that they're giving you new stuff into Pokemon TCG Pocket feels satisfying enough for me to be like, I think I'm getting my share out of this right now. Essentially, the way that the pack system works is that there is a cooldown that whenever you open one pack, 12-hour cooldown will start. Then 12 hours from then, you can open another one, right? Yeah. Of course, there are little items that you can use that will make that cooldown go away.
Yeah.
Or you can use them to open 10 packs at once, right? That is a thing. And so a lot of it just comes down to like, are you patient enough to just wait? And for me thus far, the answer is yes, because this isn't a game that I have felt compelled to just dump hours and hours and hours into. It's like, I'll pop it open. I turn notifications on so I know like, hey, it's pack time. Pop it open the pack, be like, all right, cool, that's fun. And then either do some battles or something like that, or just close it. That's a pretty common experience for me so far. And, you know, they make it fun to open a pack. It's very satisfying to do. You have to drag your finger across the top of the card pack to like cut it. And it looks like you really did cut it. Like it is in the pattern of the way that you moved your finger across.
Oh, that's cool.
It's very cool. It's great to open the cards. If you turn the pack around and you open it from the back, you have to flip the cards when you turn them over.
You get a little surprise.
A little surprise, you know? So all that's good. And I will say, I am pretty happy with how the battling works in this game. Essentially, like I said, they simplified it quite a bit. You can only have up to 20 cards in your deck, a lot smaller than 60.
Sure.
There are no energy cards that you have to put in there.
No energy
You just
cards.
essentially get energy.
Okay. So they do like Hearthstone.
It's kind of like Hearthstone in that like it's still associated with a certain like power, right? So if you have a lightning deck, it's all lightning.
Yeah.
But if you have two kinds of power, then it will, I think, randomly sort of just give you one or the other. So like if you have a lightning shadow deck, then you will be dealt one of those at the beginning of most of your turns. The first one, it's like if you go first, then you don't get an energy first, but then after that you do. So it largely evens out that experience of worrying about without energy.
Yeah.
And also you can't lose by running out of cards. And so like, you know, the threat of like suddenly having nothing on to be able to do and running out of cards, that's not really a problem anymore.
Gotcha.
But the way that battles work is kind of similar in the way that they actually like play out, in that you put out a Pokemon. If you have the evolved version of that Pokemon, you know, each turn you can play another evolved version. So if I have a Charmander, then next turn I can play a Charmeleon, and the turn following that I can play a Charizard on top of it.
Gotcha.
All of those require some kind of energy to do an attack, and all of those attacks have certain numbers of damage that they do. Some of them have like, you know, status effects, or they'll make it so that somebody can't use a certain kind of card next turn or something like that. And largely the way that you're playing against somebody is that you're trying to beat 3 of their Pokemon, and once you do, you're done and you win. There's a little bit of a wrinkle with that if they play one of the EX Pokemons, meaning like the turbo good ones, then if you beat one of those, it counts for 2 points rather than 1. But of course, those cards usually are pretty good. So it behooves you to have them in your deck. All that said, I find it pretty fun. It's still sometimes you just get fucking blasted by luck, by like just bad luck. There's quite a few mechanics where you just have to like flip a coin to decide like what happens next.
Sure.
And sometimes it just goes badly, right? Like sometimes it's like, all right, for this one, you're going to flip over a coin, and for each one of those, you're going to get an extra energy, and you're going to keep going until you get a tails, up to I think like 9 or something like that. And sometimes they just roll heads the whole way through, and you're just fucked. That's part of the experience.
Damn.
And like, honestly, that's fine. Like, I have largely been playing either against the computer. There's like certain decks that you can fight against, or in the fights that I've been playing, like people are just not that competitive. And so I haven't felt like I have to get so good, and that stuff like infuriates me.
Yeah.
It's largely just like, well, this one didn't go my way. Again, I wonder if my experience will change the farther I get into it, but for this moment, I think it's fine. I think I'm enjoying it, you know, totally fine. So yeah, I am largely enjoying this game right now, and I think part of that is just the sheer fact that I am not playing it that much. And so I'm interested to see over time, like, does it have staying power? Does it eventually get to the point where I am not getting cards at the clip that I would like to anymore?
Yeah.
Because they're definitely laying it on a little thick at the beginning, you know, like they're giving you a lot.
First hit's free, kid.
The first hit's free. The first like 10 are free. And then you got to really like grind for it.
Sure.
But I am hoping that it is in the mold of Marvel Snap, where the really high level decks, you do have to have kind of a lot of cards, but you can still be like competitive enough with like some basic shit.
You can at least still have fun.
You can still have fun. Yes. Yeah. And so I'm hoping that it will go that way. And I feel like it takes a while for me to figure that out with a card game. It's not immediately clear, but the things that I have played so far would lead me to believe that this is like a game that I will enjoy for a little while. And I think that they have really nailed the experience of just being like, I love my fucking Pokemon cards and I love to open new packs. Like that experience is very good in this game. And I think, hey, if you are just in it for having cool cards and getting new cards at a reasonable clip, like this game is gonna do you great, right? There's a lot of stuff with being able to like display your favorite card in a cool backdrop with like all these like all this flair on it. So like I have to imagine that they are appealing to the person who just has like their best card. But even still, you know, it's worth being careful with how you approach this game, because like I said, I think my enjoyment of it is largely based around how much I am playing it.
Yeah. What's your best card you have so far?
Oh God, I have a really great Alakazam that I really like.
That's a good pool.
It's a good one. It's like the holographic effects are very neat.
Love it.
So I'm all about that one. I like Alakazam too as a Pokemon. I think he's cool.
It was always kind of like that tier just below like the big three. The big three being Charizard, Blastoise, or Venusaur.
Yes, yeah. It's not a legendary, but like it does feel like, wow, that's a cool Pokemon to have in your party.
It's a cool poke.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that is Pokemon TCG Pocket. Anyway, David, this will all bring me to my Podtimistic thing of the week.
Which is?
It's totally unrelated to gaming, so like if you can just forgive me for this week.
Let's hear it.
Has nothing to do with video games. I was in New York City for a little under a week recently. Love New York. Love what you got going on over there. And I'm like okay with time zone stuff, right? I feel like I try to adjust as best I can, and I'm getting better as I get older. I very vividly remember going to New York when I was younger, like 12 or something like that. And the first day I was just fucked. Like I went to bed at like way too late. And I think I woke up at like 4 p.m. or something like that. Like,
oh no,
just absolutely wasted the day.
Bad time.
It's a bad time, but like getting a little bit better as I get older. But I was able to taste the sweet nectar of getting up early on East Coast time, flying home, and being able to go to bed so fucking early and sleep so late.
Yeah, you're talking
and have
about
it
this.
be, oh my God, and have it feel so good. I'm a person who just like, I can feel so physically and mentally tired, but not fall asleep. It's just never been my strong suit. So whenever I can just feel like dead tired, I revel in that. I'm like, oh my God.
No, that's big time for you. You've never been a good sleeper.
Oh my God. It feels so good. And especially if like I don't have something to do. Like if I feel like actually that dead tired and it's like, it's time to get up and do shit, that sucks. I don't like that.
No.
But if it's like I'm dead tired at an appropriate time and I get to go to sleep, oof. Sweet nectar of life.
You love a well-rested man.
I do. And last night I went to bed at West Coast time, 8:45.
Whoa. And you felt good about it. You're like, yeah, this is time for bed.
Because I was so tired. It felt like almost midnight. I'm like, whoa, I am sleepy. And then David, I slept until 7:30 a.m.
Wow.
I'm almost talking nearly 12 hours. Oh, baby.
You didn't feel like too tired after that?
No, I felt great. I just felt like my whole face was rejuvenated, especially because like I got up pretty early East Coast time, or not pretty early. It was like 7 o'clock. That's a pretty reasonable time. But like for me, again, it kind of felt like 4 a.m. ish on my West Coast because I'd only been there for like 5 days.
Yeah.
But it felt way earlier. And so I was just like, whew, I am underslept today. So sleeping in all the way to 7. I mean, to be fair, I woke up and rolled around at about 6:36 and was like, oh man, what time is it? And I'm like, oh my God, I've been asleep for so long. But oh my God, just waking up, having so much time in the morning, feeling so rested.
Yeah.
Sweet joys of life.
Love that for you. I love that for you.
Yeah.
You're going to try to go to sleep earlier now?
No.
It's already over.
It's already over. Yeah. It's a very rare treat that I get to do that. And it only works coming back this way. Like if I'm going the other direction, it doesn't really work. Like when I flew to Japan earlier in the year, great feeling. Cause like it's 6 p.m. and it feels like 1,000,000 o'clock West Coast time. Get to sleep real good, or coming back from like England or something like that. Same deal. But going the other direction, horrendous, terrible.
Would not recommend.
Would not recommend because you're not tired in the night and you are tired in the day. Whereas like this one's just a little adjustment. You just got to stay up a little bit later. Just like stay up a little bit and then you get to go to bed. Whereas like I was already in bed at this time last night. Ain't no shot I'm going to bed at a normal time tonight.
No, it's already 8:40.
It's already 8:40. What am I going to do? This brain just keeps on rolling.
These worms need sustenance.
They need feed, and it is Pokemon TCG'd.
Oh, man.
Do you have something fueling your sense of optimism this week, David?
Yeah, I do.
What do you got?
It's this Halo 2 E3 demo being released on Steam.
Oh, yeah.
That is insane to me. My disappointment was palpable when I realized that I couldn't play that level in Halo 2 as a child, because that demo was something else. That was a high point of gaming culture, truly, for quite some time when that demo dropped. And it was one of those things you just watched and watched and watched, and you got to know like the intricacies of all the level, and it got you to think like, oh man, if I did this, if I was playing this, I'd go over here, I'd do that, I would do this combination of guns, I'd do all sorts of different stuff. And they didn't let you do it.
No.
Come on, Bungie.
Wasn't in the game.
Come on, Bunge. So it's just pretty amazing that 20 years later they finally decided, yes, we will give you this power, we will give you this enjoyment now. Don't say we never gave you nothing, kids. And I'm excited to try it. I'm gonna get in that. I want to see what's going on.
Yeah, I would also like to play it. I think I will as well. I think this could only be topped by Guerrilla Games putting out the actual Killzone level that they teased for like the PlayStation 3 or whatever that was.
For Killzone 2?
I think it was Killzone 2. Yeah. The one that they were like, here's the sequel to Killzone 2. And like, it was so obviously pre-rendered cutscenes, but everybody's like, maybe this is what the PS3 looks like.
Shockwave to the gaming community.
Genuinely, I feel like for a moment, that's what everybody was talking about was like, did you see the fucking Killzone 2 trailer? And like,
yeah, kids, if you ever wonder why at the bottom of a trailer it says this is shot with like in-game footage or this is pre-rendered, it's because of the Killzone 2
genuinely, I
trailer.
think so.
Absolutely, 100%. It's because of that.
Yeah, and like the Halo 2 one was challenging because like it didn't look so good that it was impossible.
Yeah,
it just wasn't a level that was in the game.
Yeah,
you know?
it was. I think it was probably in-game footage because it didn't look like that different than the actual game when it came out. It's just like, oh, we just threw this together. The game's not done yet, so here it's like you said, an E3 demo. They just slapped it together. Play this, and that's kind of what we're going for with the rest of the game.
Yeah,
but it just makes middle school me so happy that now I can play this.
I think Guerrilla Games should put out their Killzone 2 trailer in a real game.
But do they have anything to gain from this?
Hype.
The hype is finally here. They can finally make it look like how it did in the trailer, probably.
Yeah. I remember it looking pretty mind-blowing, but I wonder if it even does nowadays.
That's a great question. I remember thinking like, oh my God, video games have made the leap to just space technology at this point.
Yeah, it really looked like they had peaked. I'm watching it now. It doesn't look that insane. Like you could do this.
Do it, Gorilla.
Do it. I think part of the problem with that trailer especially is that like the gun movement doesn't look like it's being controlled by a controller.
No, it's all like, it's very floaty. Yes,
which like Killzone already is floaty. You don't need to add more of that into the game.
Right? Yeah. We don't need more float.
Anyway, yeah, let's play that game. Let's play that level.
Well,
Demo, why don't we move on to our main thing, David?
Let's do it.
All right. Hey, welcome to Good Games. It's a segment where we talk about the okayest games of yesteryear. Gush all the things that we love about them. It's time.
That was a dramatic pause. That was a Brothership pause.
It was a Brothership pause. I don't know how we picked this one. I think it just looked fun and we picked it.
You just said, I'm going to be playing this in New York, so play it.
Yeah. Okay. It was a travel game.
Yeah.
Easy to play on the Switch. We're, of course, talking about Nuclear Blaze, a game that we were suggested to play by listener Sergio. Thank you, Sergio. On the topic of Nuclear Blaze, he had to say, this was the first game I played after the fever dream that was the first 80 hours or so of Elden Ring when it came out. Finished it in 2 sittings, which is a plus for any game. It's just a very fun little platformer with gorgeous pixel art and a very cool firefighting mechanic.
Yeah, nailed it.
Nailed it, yeah. Had you heard of this before?
I had never heard of it, but apparently one of these guys worked on Dead Cells?
Dead Cells, the only guy, actually. It's just a single developer who made this.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
Was one person made Dead Cells too, or that he also worked on Dead Cells?
Exactly. Yeah, he was the Sebastian Bernard is the person who made it, and he was the lead dev and designer of Dead Cells.
Gotcha. Wow. Okay. Cool.
It he says on his website like, hey, I'm a single dev and this is my game. I always kind of wonder about like, does that mean you contracted people to make the art, or did he make the art or the music or anything like that? But it seems like the studio is him at this point. So this was a solo endeavor. But yeah, I had also not heard of this really at all.
Yeah, I'd never heard of it once.
I was interested to see like what is going on in here. Mm-hmm. But let me hit you with some hot stats about this game.
Let's hear it.
Hot stats.
Okay, so Nuclear Blaze came out April 28th of 2023 for Switch. And then also October 18th of 2021 for PC. So a little bit of a lead time there on the console release. But
it's kind of old. I'd never heard of it. Wow.
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised. It felt like a much more recent release. I think I must have seen somebody talking about it because I feel like when I saw it on our list, I was like, oh yeah, this has been out for a little bit, but not that long. So yeah, it as suggested, it was made by Deep Night Games, which as we said was this solo dev named Sebastian Bernard. I think this is his only game as a solo dev so far. So it's just this. But yeah, Dead Cells is sort of similar in the work. I do have a review from Joe Video of Nuclear Blaze, which I took through its original language, which was French, and then put it into Google Translate putting it into a bunch of languages, mangle it up real good. One into the other.
Let's hear it.
Can I say that?
One to the other.
One to the other. I had some dried mangoes and I'm feeling saucy.
What's one to do?
I'll read that review for you now. Uniquely, Dead Cells creator Sebastian Bernard proved to be the perfect person to make a brilliant game like Nuclear Flame. 2 hours in, the French army moves in front of the enemy camp and opens fire. For the first time, Nuclear Flame becomes a real weak spot, especially as the level building and gameplay suffers from some issues. At the end, you'll have a sense of unfinished business, but also a great sense of judgment. I'm not sure, but there is a lot of smoke and you have to look for it. And they gave that a 7 out of 10.
Wow. I didn't realize that the French army was just opening fire on people.
On fires, it seems like? On burning buildings, maybe?
They're just going to go and shoot a burning building.
I mean, have we tried shooting fire yet?
I haven't seen anyone shoot fire, so I can't say.
Anyone. Don't try this. You can't put out fire with bullets. I feel like we're in a world, again, where I need to specify really dumb shit.
I heard the Podtimism boys talking about it, so I shot the fire and didn't do nothing.
Pulled out my sawed-off shotgun, didn't put my house out. What the fuck? What is this game, David?
This game is a platforming adventure firefighting game. So you take the role of a firefighter. They drop in, very cool way of just like diving in from a plane into a forest fire. There's a bunch of other firefighters in there doing their job. And then this firefighter slowly moves along and then somehow stumbles upon a weird facility of some sort that has like a government style, like clandestine facility. And it's on fire. So they just go, hey, I'm going to go in here and put out these fires because that's my job. I'm a fucking firefighter. So they go into this clandestine building and then you just have to put out fires and solve puzzles and then follow it through to the end where you fight a cheeky little fun boss at the very end. So yeah, it's a fun game.
I'm assuming you beat it if you're talking about that.
I did beat it. It's quick.
Yeah.
It's a short game.
It is a very short game and I love that.
Yeah,
I'm
no, it was great.
Satisfied with that.
Yeah, I didn't need more. I was like, that was the perfect amount.
Yeah. I'm always sort of surprised to encounter games like this nowadays. Mm-hmm. I always feel like it's just, I'm expecting it to be something else. Like, oh, it's for sure going to be like a roguelike or something like that.
Sure.
Or, there's going to be some kind of like base building or something, but it is very just kind of straightforwardly a video game where you fight fires.
I was very much expecting it to be a roguelike. I was like, I'm going to die.
Yeah, me too.
Going to go back to the beginning.
Yeah, it kind of feels that way until you start getting into like, okay, I just got to the end of the level and we're just moving on. I'm not going back. It's just simply this.
Just keep going.
Yeah, which is fun. I liked that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I think you can also really see at least the like visual influence of Dead Cells. Like it looks like Dead Cells to me.
Sure.
And then also, especially the dodge roll feels very Dead Cells-y.
I can tell.
Which is very cool. Reminds me a lot of, these games are not that similar, but it reminds me of like Katana Zero in a way where like, it's just like the level is the thing that you do and then you just move on,
mm-hmm.
Like I think Katana Zero has a little bit of the like Hotline Miami thing where it's like you're trying to kind of achieve the perfect, it's stylish and you're kind of trying to get like the perfect run almost. Mm-hmm. And this one is not that, but like when you die, you just go back and try again. And that feels very Katana Zero to me. Katana Zero was also like very focused in a way that I think this game also is.
Sure.
Of like, we're doing like one thing really well.
Yeah, this is our game mechanic. It's cool. It's fun. Enjoy yourself.
What did you think about this?
I really enjoyed it. There is a certain element of pressure to putting out the fires, but it never feels overwhelming, which is nice. And I like how the fires are dynamic. You'll go, you'll put something out, you'll think it's done, and you come back, and there was just like one ember over there still going, and now it's ablaze again. So hunting down the fires was fun. I like that it's a firefighting game where a firefighter is the hero, because I feel like firefighters are something that we can all get behind, which is nice, as opposed to, shooting something or someone.
The fire,
Shooting the fire. We're not going to shoot the fire. So, it was non-violent in a way, but still gives you that sense of I'm in peril, which was enjoyable, right? So just giving you that little bit of adrenaline rush that you get from something like maybe like a shooter, but not actually having to engage in death dealing.
Yeah, it's fun to put out the fires and feel like you're doing something good. I don't know.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, and I liked the kind of occult undertones to the game. I won't spoil anything, but you slowly throughout the game, you sort of read documents about this facility and you're like, what the fuck is going on here? This is weird.
Yeah, it starts to border on like Control or like the like SCP like internet site where like there's all these items of power and stuff like that, which I think is very fun. I think it's a fun backdrop for like a firefighting game.
Yeah, and the firefighters just in there like, there's just more fires. I got to keep going. Put them out.
gotta put them out.
There's a cat down here. What's up with that?
Yeah, there's a bunch of cats that you get to like save and collect, which is very, very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is a weirdly simple and also just like very well made video game.
Yeah, you said focused, and I think that's a great way of putting it. It's a very focused game.
It's trying to do one thing, and it does that really well, and it doesn't try to make it like 20-hour game out of that.
Yeah.
Which is great. Like I think the indie scene is much more comfortable with that approach these days.
Mm-hmm.
But for a long time, like they super were not, you know?
Yeah.
Like if you had a cool mechanic, like if it couldn't be turned into like a 40-hour game, like that's not going to turn into a game. Like, I'm sorry, you're just not going to make that game. But I really love that something like this can exist in this form. And that, like, again, it's a very modern game still. Like, it feels like they're existing in the moment. Every time I, got like an upgrade, I'm like, okay, now we're talking. Now we're cooking with gas,
Mm-hmm.
In any other game, it would be a roguelike, right? Like Dead Cells is right there. It could have been, you get an upgrade and then you have to put out a fire, but if a fire kills you, you have to go back and, start over again or whatever.
Yeah.
But I love that it's just like, no, it's time for more juice, more water, or like now you get a dodge roll.
Mm-hmm.
Like kind of classically video game stuff, which is cool, but also somehow again feels like it exists now, which I love.
Yeah.
There's I feel like you're right that there aren't a lot of firefighting games.
I think it's an interesting mechanic. I think it's something that could be very hard to do, like graphically.
Yeah.
And I think doing it in this art style worked well for it.
Yeah, I agree. The 2D style is like it really aids it because I think there must have been a firefighting minigame in like a GTA game at some point that was just like horrendous, like so bad.
That sounds very familiar.
Yeah. And like this one did not. Like I always felt like, yes, that the fire went out at the time that I expected it would.
Mm-hmm.
And like it wasn't that hard to aim the water, like.
Yeah. It felt good to use the hose.
Yeah. Which was fun. Like I like that they made that feel good. Of course, like that's the thing you need to make feel good if you're making a firefighting game.
Mm-hmm.
But like it was good. That they really delivered on that bit of it.
Yeah, I liked when you would open a door and you get like the backdraft explosion and you'd have to use like your water shield to stay safe. That was good. That's good shit.
Yeah, that was good. It made it feel like very adventurous. Of like, I'm going to have to kick this door down and I know that it's going to cause more fire out here, but like I do need to get through, Also very fun when you are able to get on the other side of the door, like in other means and put out the fire over there too. And like the door just opens normally after that.
I fought the fire and I won.
Yeah, I did it. I'll also say towards the end of the game, like I was definitely challenged by this game. There were moments where like it was pretty hard.
It was hard. Yeah.
Anytime that they had the like fire that was falling from the ceiling from like something that was like very
killed me
on fire above it. Yeah. I would pretty frequently get smushed or like it would explode or something and I wasn't expecting it and get killed.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it's fun. It's just teaching you not to, be careful where you're running to make sure that like nothing's falling.
Watch your surroundings.
Yeah. Which I liked. Initially, I was like, is this just going to be like a cakewalk the whole way through? Like, I'm fine with that, but is that going to be it? But I was kind of surprised and delighted for it to be hard towards the end of it.
Yeah, and the last bit is pretty difficult too.
Yeah. The like boss.
The boss at the end.
But I it's a good video game.
Yeah. No, I was very pleasantly surprised with it and impressed. I had a great time with Nuclear Blaze.
Yeah.
I haven't tried the hold my beer mode, which you unlock after beating it. You unlock it after beating it, and they say that it has like extra content if you play through that. So I'm curious to know what the heck it is.
I wonder if it has anything to do with the like doors throughout the game that have the little like demon face on them.
Probably. Maybe
because those
like
were always locked. Yeah, it could be. It does seem like a game that has like a fair amount of secrets in it, which I really like. Mm-hmm. Like the cat rooms are almost always like hidden a little bit.
Yeah.
And so it's just fun to be able to be like, there's stuff hidden here that if I look hard enough, I can find it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, great video game, great setting. It like, again, it reminds me of Control or like even Half-Life in certain points where it's like there's just this like fucked up facility that you need to like figure out what's happening in.
Yeah.
And you're just sort of like solving one problem after another. And yeah, you're right. The sort of like chipper attitude of the firefighter who's just like, well, there's more fires and I got to put them out. That's all I'm going to do is just do this.
A simple person. Just that my job is to put fires out and I'm just going to keep going.
I'm going to do that. Yeah. I feel like the only other firefighting game that I'm like even a little bit aware of is Burning Rangers on the Sega Saturn.
Burning Rangers.
Whoa. It's not even a game I've ever played. I've just seen it and it looks cool. It's been on the list of like games we should play for the pod for like, I think actual years now, not from anybody else. It was just a game that I was like, we should play that. I think it was like before we were taking suggestions from people.
This is an anime ass game.
It looks very anime, which like, again, the concept of firefighting anime, I'm in, dude.
You watched Fire Force?
I've not watched Fire Force. Is that firefighting anime?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But it's like supernatural as well.
I'm okay with that.
They have like fire powers. They're pyrokinetics who fight fires. And there might be a government conspiracy.
Maybe.
But be careful. It is uncomfortably horny at times.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Dude.
It's a real bummer because it's pretty good otherwise.
I know. Yeah. God, David, I've been reading so much fucking manga recently.
I know. I've seen it.
Truly an unconscionable amount right now. Again, that's my before bed thing. And sometimes your boy just ain't falling asleep. And so it's time to read a lot of manga. And getting more into that medium, I love when it's good. And it's such a bummer when something is like pretty good, but also just like way more horny than I need it to be.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. It's like, I'm trying to go to sleep right now, man.
Yeah. Like, I don't need this. Been reading a lot of Dandadan. Dandadan, however you pronounce it. Phenomenal action manga. Like, I am having a phenomenal time. Very funny. Why we gotta sexualize these characters, you guys?
Gotta do it.
Why do we gotta do that? And like, listen, I have no problem with sex in a thing. And I will say one more endorsement of something good that I'm sure you've heard before. Berserk handles sexuality pretty good. Like there's a little bit of outdated language every now and then, but like the first time we start seeing like a honest to goodness like sex scene in there, it's good. Means something.
All right.
It's good.
Good.
There's also some depictions of some not good sex stuff in a way that feels responsible and like, wow. It's treated with respect. Okay.
That's great.
Why do I gotta see the boobies in Dandere? I'd like just for no reason boobies, you know?
They're there.
I don't need that. And like just make it count, you know?
Sure.
Make it worth it.
Yeah.
Anyway, that said, Frieren, incredible. Pluto, incredible. What other manga do I have to recommend right now? Vinland Saga, having a great time. Shit's good. I like it. I like to read the manga, David. This has been Chase's Manga Corner.
I love it. Should be a recurring segment.
It's 1 minute about manga because
real fast.
Listen, if you don't come to this podcast for that, I get it. Like that would probably be pretty annoying to just suddenly get a lot of this other thing.
Yeah.
But I'll limit it to a minute. The Manga Minute. How about that?
Manga Minute. The mini manga minute.
The Manga Minute. A podcast within a podcast, as Justin McElroy would say.
Whoa.
Anyway, this has been Chase's Manga Minute. Ba-da-ba-ba-bow.
It was very close to McDonald's for a second.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Manga Minute.
Manga Minute.
It's like a funeral dirge. It's McDonald's but minor.
Oh no. Oh, you can't. Legally different. Legally separate.
Legally distinct McDonald's. Different thing.
Go.
Anyway, Sergio, great suggestion with Nuclear Blaze. I had a great time with this game. It is exactly what you described. It's a short, good firefighting game.
Short and sweet.
I liked that.
Yeah, thank you.
Short and sweet.
Thank you, Sergio.
Loved it. A great one.
If you would like to interact with our podcast more, you can go to podtimism.com. You can see old episodes. You can look at our podcast art that Chase has made, the thumbnail art, I should say. You can also go on there and look up games that we have talked about in the past, and you can suggest games for us to do in the future. We're always looking forward to new suggestions. We'll get to them eventually, and maybe we'll do a multi-good games episode again in the future. That was fun last time.
That was also fun. I like doing that.
Yeah, it was like rapid fire. It was great. Also, on the website, there is a link to our Discord. We're part of the Worst Garbage Podcast Network. Come on over and check out our little space and chat with other people who listen, and maybe check out other parts of the pod. It's pod networks such as, Can't Let It Go, .zip, Frog of the Week, Girl Mode, Into the Aether, Paws and Claws. Check it out. It's good stuff.
Check it totally out.
Good stuff abounds.
Yeah.
If you'd like to help out the podcast, you can leave a review on whatever podcatcher you use, or Apple Podcasts or Spotify, I believe, are the best ones to do it. We really appreciate it. We read them. That's great. We love to see it. Also, thank you to Scout Wilkinson for our podcast art. You can see more of her art at co-fi.com/humblegoat. Maybe her commissions are open, maybe they're not. It's coming close to the holiday season, so this is a busy time for someone who creates things.
Yeah, not us.
Not us.
No busy here.
Not busy here, but, so you can still listen to us.
But check it totally out.
Check it out. And thank you, listener, for being here. We would do this even if no one listened, so it's pretty cool that people to do, or pretty cool that people do. So thank you.
Pretty cool that people to do. I agree.
Yeah. Thank you, Chase.
Yeah.
Do you have any video game wisdom for us this week?
It's just the slightest hint of frustration. Like, could you just leave that the fuck alone?
You didn't have to pick that one up, but I appreciate it. I respect
my
it.
goddamn mistake. You didn't need to pull it back out.
And you have any wisdom this week, Chase?
I think the wisdom this week is to take care of yourself as best you know. All right.
As best you know can. Wow. What does that mean? Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. Isn't that nice? Isn't that good to feel reciprocated?
You left that one out for me. I appreciate it.
Honestly, it was an honest mistake, but I did sort of put it on a plate there for you.
You did.
Just be like, come on in. You can roast me too.
Have
it's
a nibble.
okay.
Have a nibble.
Have a nibble. Yeah, shit sucks, and please protect yourself and feel the righteous rage. And I don't know. I hope that the world looks back on your actions as something good and powerful. And somebody can say, wow, did you know in 2024, this person did this thing and it was cool?
Yeah.
Even in the face of shitty stuff happening.
It was officially marked as cool.
It was officially cool. Yeah. Wikipedia, it says birthday, something, hometown, something, cool, check mark.
Yeah. You got a little blue check mark next to cool.
God, that really is what the dudes on X, the everything app, think that their check mark is.
I'm cool.
Just a cool. I'm cool now.
I'm verified.
I'm verified. It's like it's so the opposite.
I'm part of the club.
Man. You bought your way into the club and it sucks.
Hey, anything can be bought.
Well,
sorry.
No, it's okay. I can start it over. Do the best you can with what you have.
There you go.
Yeah, take care of yourselves, everybody, and we will see you next week.
Yeah, we'll see you then.
All right, bye.
Bye.
TWG, the worst garbage, the online.